Hello, I'm Scott Bogie here with Jordy Edewards, ahead of her fight upcoming against Caree Hill. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. And how are you feeling ahead of this fight?
Well, honestly, I think this is the first fight where I haven't been nervous. I'm just excited to get in there. It's been a long year.
Exactly. And you've kind of been in training camp for the whole year. I know you were meant to fight, you fought in November 8th. You were then meant to fight back, I think it was in June and then
Yes.
September as well. So do you feel
Yes.
like while those fights didn't materialize, at least you have been training and being able to improve your skills throughout the year?
I do think that's been a big factor in my excitement leading up to this fight and a lot less nerves since I've been in fight camp, basically since March, I think, is when we took that fight for June. So I've had basically an extended fight camp from March until now to improve, to work on my skills, to kind of hone in my weight cutting, all of that. So I think that builds a lot of confidence going into this fight.
And I guess you're also missing it in the ring. You start getting closer to the fight, you get those build up, you get those nerves, then it gets taken away, you work it back up again. So you're just looking to just get back in there and just have a scrap.
Yes, I mean, that's one of my biggest things. I think we were looking for a fight in November and we didn't get that one. So ending the year with a fight is, something I'm super grateful for because otherwise I would have only had one fight this year. And my ultimate goal for this year was initially three fights. But, the fight game, it's up and down. People get injuries, people get sick, people have things come up that doesn't work out for them. So I think the fight game is always kind of up in the air. So you have to be mentally prepared and strong to understand if an opponent pulls out at the scale
Yeah.
due to medical issues or they pull out a couple weeks before. Like, what does that mean for me? And I think for me, it's been a big learning experience of you can't just sit around on the couch. You actually have to stay in fight camp if that's, your goal is to be on a bigger promotion.
And I think that is what you have to learn in the fight game is how you handle the setbacks, how you go from having that fight, getting it cancelled, to learning how to cope with that. Do you feel like being able to get these challenges this early on in your career will just help you prepare going into the big show?
I do. I've been talking to a lot of UFC fighters because I'm based in Vegas, so I get
Yeah.
to train out of the UFC Performance Institute, which I just feel blessed to get to do that every single day. But getting to talk to all of these UFC fighters about their experiences and everything else, I think one of the biggest things they've told me is you're learning it at a point in your career where it's more crucial than, say, where we had to learn it when we were already on the big stage and battling that mental battle of having a fight canceled. So, being where I'm at now, I feel like it's just preparing me better for the future.
And how is it? 'Cause like you're saying, you are training at the Performance Institute, you are being able to get in the minds of these UFC fighters. How lucky do you feel like you have been to be able to be put in that position, to be able to get right to the core of what these fighters did, what mistakes they did along the path, and be able
Mhm.
to not do them, of course, in your journey?
Well, for me, I don't think it's luck necessarily. I think it is a lot of hard work
Yeah.
and who I am as a person. I have a huge heart and I'm a super nice person and I just kind of keep my head down and work hard. So I do think I am lucky in the sense that I found these people, but not in the fact that I've been
Yeah.
able to maintain these relationships and stay training where I'm at. I think a lot of fighters come down here and they just expect the handout to be the UFC Performance Institute. And that's not how it
Yeah.
works. It's building relationships and making sure that you're a good training partner for everybody. I think that's the biggest thing that sets a lot of people aside from others is are you a good training partner? Can you be the trusted training partner when people are in camp? Can you be the person that goes above and beyond to show up every single day, even when you don't want to? But I think that I am very lucky that I get to be surrounded by such amazing people. I mean, Ode Osborne is one of my main training partners at Dewey Cooper's gym. And I think that he has really elevated my game and my training and my mental state because I've gotten to hear about his journey. And also, he chooses me as a training partner. And then also getting to work with Kenya Rojas, who is, well, her last name's Martinez now, but she's Raul Rojas's little sister,
Yeah.
and she's one of my main training partners. So I'm just super grateful to be surrounded by like-minded people down here because, there's a lot of gyms down here, there's a lot of big training facilities, but not many people get the opportunity to be surrounded by good people. And my coach, Mateus Nakache, he is just a phenomenal coach who's brought a group of people together who just have the biggest hearts and just the drive for the game.
And in your last fight against Jasmine, you were able to taste that victory, your first pro victory. How did that feel for you?
Oh my gosh, it felt so amazing. I mean, it was so stressful. Like, I moved down here in December and my fight was in February. And originally, I was supposed to fight Liz Tracy. So, for Jasmine to step in on 2 weeks' notice and take the fight against somebody who had, been training for quite a while, where Jasmine was just jumping right back into training, I was just overly grateful for her to step up because not a lot of people want to do that.
Yeah,
You take a fight on 2 weeks notice, you don't really have a game plan, you might not have been training for it. So, getting to taste that victory against a tough opponent. I mean, she was tough. I had her up against the cage. I had her a couple moments and she just kept swinging.
exactly. And you have been able to get both position both times in your pro career, and you've went to, I think it was all your times in your amateur career so far as well. How good is it to be able to get the rounds in, to be able to see what your opponents have for the next time around?
um gosh, I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing is the coaches. I have some very smart coaches who go above and beyond to do their research on opponents and also make sure that they're getting me smart fights.
Yeah,
So, having these well seasoned opponents, I mean, I wouldn't say that I've ever had an easy fight.
yeah.
I haven't been in the fight game very long, not even 5 years. I started when I was just about to turn 21. So my coaches are probably my biggest asset in the sport because they go above and beyond to not only look at the opponent, but to look at who I am as a fighter and be like, all right, how do we game plan and use your talent, your technique, your skill against these seasoned veterans?
And like you said, Liz dropped out. You got Jasmine on 2 week notice. What was it that you kind of changed in your game plan, and like how do you handle the situation?
That one was an interesting one. I don't really think I had any nerves around it. My coaches and me, we talked about it for a while. This is the only opponent we're probably going to get on this short of notice. So how do we go in there? And Jasmine is a talented fighter. I
Yeah.
mean, if you've watched her amateur fights, her pro fights, she hits hard. And I think our biggest asset going into this fight was knowing that she was a southpaw and how do we capitalize on that and use my weapons against hers and kind of take her biggest weapon away from her, which was a really good overhand.
And in your weight class, there was that super fight that happened in the UFC, Shevchenko versus Weili. How did you find that fight?
I think the biggest factor in that fight that was an issue for Weili because I got to watch her train, I got to watch Shevchenko train, being around the Performance Institute. The biggest thing was she was too small.
Yeah.
And that is a concern when you're a 115er like I am going up a weight class to 125. But I think that I've prepared well. I'm strong mentally, I'm strong physically. We have a good game plan, and this isn't the highest level. I mean, that is two champions, one from 115 and one from 125, where the weight difference is a bigger factor because I think that those fighters, they're well seasoned. They've been around for a while. They've both been champions for a while. They've defended their titles. So they have not only the size, but the experience. And Shevchenko brought a beautiful game plan against Weili. And I don't
And
think Weili used her range well.
yeah, and it looks like it was set in stone to be Natalia Silva to be the next challenger.
Mhm.
However, she's decided she's going to stay active. She stepped in to face Rosa Mayunas when Alexa Grasso fought out. Do you feel like that's just to be able to not get the ring rust, to be able to keep fighting, keep showing off that she is the best, and then once Shevchenko has healed up, she's ready for it, there'll be no doubt that she is next.
I do, and I think that's a smart thing to do as a fighter. I mean, ring rust plays such a huge role in how fighters go into the cage, and it doesn't matter. I mean, you can be one of the best fighters and you can take a year, year and a half off and walk in there and everything's different.
Yeah.
I think that, for my pro debut, I had over a year off before I actually stepped foot in the cage. And I think that ring rust did play a huge role. I just couldn't let punches go. I couldn't figure it out. And by the time I did figure it out, it was third round, and it was like, what do you do moving forward when it's third round and it's too late for that? So,
And it does nowadays, it does seem like women's MMA has got a lot more opportunities now than what it was before. You just need to look at Fury, they've got their women's division this weekend. Their belt is on the line. You've got Invicta promotion solely focused on women's MMA. Combat Global, they had a card earlier on this year, just solely on women's MMA. And you've also got LFA, got their women's division. It just seems nowadays you guys have just got that opportunity now to show off your skills and be able to have that showcase to go into the UFC.
I agree. I see women's combat sports growing immensely. And now you look at a lot of the fight cards that are even local shows or lower level promotions, their biggest promote to sell tickets is the women's fights.
Yeah.
I think that more people want to see women's fights, honestly, than they do men's fights. I mean, the cards that have women's fights on them are selling more tickets than the male only dominated fight cards.
And I think what was really surprising was the contender series that just happened. I think there was only like two or three women's fights in the whole of the contender series. I mean, they were
Mhm.
both bangers. They were both showcase the top level athletes, but it was just strange that there was just so little. When if you just look at the women's divisions in the regional scene, there is just a lot of people that's just kicking asses and getting wins.
And I think with the UFC, there's a big problem of there's too many right now.
Yeah.
So it's figuring out who to weed out maybe before the next year, because I know for a lot of women, I've heard them talking and saying, we wanted another fight before the end of the year, but there's just too many fighters and the opportunity has to be given to everybody so that it's fair, but these women are wanting to fight more than they're even able to.
Yeah. And going into the next year, what are you looking for out of 2026?
Next year, I am going to be aiming for 3 fights again. That would be my hope. I'd like to fight again, hopefully in March. I want to take, Christmas off, let my body reset. Weight cutting's hard on the body, especially as a
Yeah.
female. So I think taking at least 2 weeks off to let your body recover and heal and not think about the next fight is how you stay mentally strong moving forward. But I would like to hopefully have 3 more fights next year and then look at where the opportunity could be for me to potentially get on the contender series.
Now you are going to get the victory in this fight, but how are you going to be celebrating this win?
I am everyone calls me an old soul. My celebration is going back to my hotel room and eating a Domino's pizza with just my coaches and my family. And that's really it for me. I'm not a big partier. I don't drink. I don't smoke weed. I really love being around people. But at the end of the day, I just want to go eat my pizza by myself to celebrate.
What's on the pizza?
It's a Hawaiian pizza.
Oh, so there's going to be pineapple on there.
Oh yeah, always. It is tradition.
And obviously you do like that Domino's pizza. You got that
Mhm.
Hawaiian. How good would it be to have that in the cage? Get the win. Just see it come down that walkout and just
Oh my
into.
gosh. I would love that, but I would hope that nobody would ask me to share because I'm going to be eating that whole pizza by myself.
I don't think anyone will have the courage to.
Right? But yeah, I'm a really like I stick to my routine even in fight camp. I have a routine and it works really well for me. I'm not out messing around,
Yeah.
everything else. I eventually would like to be a champion, and so I set standards for myself very, very high, and I'm not a big people person. I love saying thank you to all of my fans and supporters and just everyone who plays a big role in my journey to where I want to be. But after that, I'm like, all right, I need to not see people for a couple of days. I'm going to go home with my family and just enjoy time.
It's just like I'm not being rude when I'm not replying, but
Yeah.
you'll just see me in like 2 weeks' time.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, everybody, I'll catch y'all when I get back. I'll deal with that later. I'm just mental stress relief.
And who was it that you're kind of looking up when you were just coming into the sport? Who was it that you're looking up into?
My mom. She is my head coach and my manager. She's actually who got me into the sport because I was a collegiate athlete before I actually joined a boxing gym my senior year of college. So my mom is my biggest inspiration in the sport, and she always will be. She takes care of me. She rides or dies for me. She handles everything for me, and there isn't anyone who I could say thank you enough to.
Well, that sounds great, and we know you're going to kick ass in that ring and be able to get the victory. Is there anything you would like to add or anyone you want to shout out?
I think I shouted out mostly everyone, O'Day Osborne, Dewey Cooper, who's a coach of mine, Mateus, who's a coach of mine, Kenya, who's been a big part of, we've been in every single fight camp together this year. She actually just won her fight, so I'm super proud of her. And then my mom and my family. And then I also have Cindy, who's a recovery girl for me, and then my aunt, Ginny Arthur, who's my nutritionist.
Well, we can't wait to see you get that victory, and we can't wait to see what 2026 has in store for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.